And we're back. I'm really excited for this part of the show where we are diving into all things tiki. And it's no secret that the Polynesian holds a very special place in my heart. And Jim, did I ever tell you that the Poly is actually my family's home resort through DVC?
Oh, I think I did know that, but what is it about the place that makes it especially special for you guys?
I mean, honestly, what's not special? The Poly is like everything that you could ask for. It's right on the monorail loop. It has that like unforgettable scent when you walk in the lobby. And let's not even get me started on the pulled pork nachos at Captain Cook's. Oh my gosh. Like, hands down, it is my top pick across Disney theme parks. I know you might be eating your Cadbury eggs, but I picked the nachos. And in the lobby, there are a couple different shops. My favorite is the boutique. How cute is that? And it didn't take long after we joined DVC for us to be like for us to start collecting those adorable little tiki figures that they have there. And we couldn't have a show without a burning question. So, do you know if these little tiki guys actually have like a real name, or are they just like little tiki guy?
Well, no, you're right to be curious, Lauren. These tiki figures are indeed, they do have a name, and quite fitting. They're called Maui. They're named after the demigod from Polynesian mythology, and it's a deliberate nod on Disney's part to the rich culture that inspires the Polly's theming, intertwining Disney storytelling with authentic cultural legends.
Wait, wait. Are you telling me that like Maui from Moana? Like, what? That is incredible. And I had no idea there was a direct link to the stories and the characters that we've come to love in the movies to what we're seeing in the resort. Like, I had no idea.
Well, now to be fair here, the Maui and Moana is sort of a different iteration of the character. In fact, speaking of Moana, when Walt Disney Animation Studios was first thinking about making this film, well, back up the truck here. I was lucky enough to sit down with the filmmakers prior to Moana's release back in November of 2016. And these two gentlemen are John Musker and Ron Clements. You know them. These are the guys who brought those Disney animated favorites, The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, and Hercules, not to mention other memorable animated projects like The Great Mouse Detective and Treasure Planet. But anyway, their original vision for this project was to actually make the entire movie about Maui.
What? So that would make him the movie's central character rather than Moana?
Yeah, but obviously that plan changed over the course of production. Anyway, fairly early on, Musker and Clements came up with the idea of having Dwayne Johnson be the voice of Maui. Which, look, given that The Rock has ties to Polynesia, I mean, for his mom is Samoan, it wasn't exactly a stretch. But more to the point, given that Dwayne already had a history with Disney, he had previously done the game plan for the studio back in 2007, and followed that up with Race to Witch Mountain in 2009. So he was an unknown quantity at Disney. But I have to tell you, from having dealt with the PR team at Disney for decades now, they love The Rock. Largely because whatever you ask Dwayne Johnson to do, he will do. Case in point, there was the Moana teaser trailer that became available on June 16th. So this is, what is that? 5 months out ahead of when the movie debuts in theaters. The notion is, oh, you know what would be great? Let's debut the trailer on Good Morning America. Yeah, but again, it's a movie about Polynesia. So maybe we should have Dwayne do a remote from Hawaii. And it's like, wait a minute, Good Morning America runs from 7 to 9 in the morning on the East Coast. So that means Dwayne has to get up, at 1 o'clock in the morning in Hawaii and get in makeup and be ready to get in front of a television camera to go live on the East Coast, between 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. And Dwayne was like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. And but you know what would make it better? It's like, well, what would make it better? Let's get some fire dancers. And it's like, and I know some guys. And it's so like, he didn't just get up at 3 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning to be a live television at 3 o'clock in the morning to push the trailer. He personally arranged for the fire dancers. I mean, that's the kind of guy he is. And he did pretty much the same thing with Jungle Cruise in July of 2021. He was like, "What pandemic? Who do you need me to talk to? What do I need to do to promote this movie?" And he's already doing the same thing with the live action version of Moana, which is supposed to come out 2026.
I mean, we're getting a lot of Moana in a short period of
We
time.
we are, but Disney believes strongly in this franchise now.
Yeah, and going back to The Rock, I just have to wonder if all of that time he was a professional wrestler like WWE, and you have to improvise and you have to put on a good show, and just deal with your surroundings. I wonder if that influenced you. And it sounds, everything I've heard is he's just a really nice, lovely human. So
Oh no,
good
no,
on
no.
ya,
No, well, no,
Rock.
and again, I've heard the exact same thing from the PR team at Disney, that they just love him. Even when the movies are terrible, they love him. So,
Well, listen, I love him too. And you know what else I love? Some little tiki guys. So tell me, do you know how the little tiki guys, Maui, made it into the theme parks to begin with?
well, all right. The journey of tiki culture in the Disney theme parks, it is as fascinating as the legends associated with this aspect of Polynesia are. It starts with the vision of one man, and that's Rolly Crump, the Imagineer who played a pivotal role in bringing the tiki aesthetic to life at the Disney parks. He helped out with the creation of the Enchanted Tiki Room. In fact, Rolly's unique designs and imaginative concepts were instrumental in making the Tiki Room a reality.
Oh, Rolly, like classic Disney. And did I hear that he actually like hand carved some of these tikis?
Oh, that's absolutely true. And no, I got that from my copy of it. It's kind of a funny story. Rowley brought his visionary designs to life by hand carving several of the tikis that surround the Enchanted Tiki Room. Each piece was meticulously carved, reflecting the depth of Polynesian mythology and adding an authentic touch to the attraction. It's his artistry that helped make the Tiki Room what it is today.
Wow, that is some serious dedication there. And I mean it's no surprise. That's just what Rolly added to the theme parks and added to Disney. So if we're going down the Tiki timeline, what came next?
Well, okay. So we got our Enchanted Tiki Room. We were just talking about the one at Walt Disney World, the one for the Sunshine Pavilion, and let's not forget about the one that then showed up at Tokyo Disneyland in 1983. But then in the 2000s, we got an interesting bend on this. We got the Trader Sam's Enchanted Tiki Bar at the Disneyland Hotel. And what's interesting about Trader Sam's is that it expands on the tiki theme. It creates this immersive bar that's loaded with Disney Easter eggs. All sorts of interactive things, as well as a menu full of exotic drinks, and all of it inspired by tiki culture that of course Rolly helped pioneer at the Disney parks. Now that said, though, we were just talking about books. I have my copy here of Walt's People, Volume 28. This is the wonderful series of books by Didier Guez, but he has a lengthy interview here with Brandon Kalin. And he was the gentleman who was working for Imagineer and found out that they were going to do a tiki bar up, at the Disneyland Hotel, and he was like, I, I have to volunteer for this project. But what was interesting is that um, when he saw the original, what they originally going to do at the Disneyland Hotel, the idea was it was this posh, sleek, clean. Caribbean themed bar. And he was the one who stepped in and, like, oh my God, you were missing an opportunity here. He was the one who said, we have to lean into, like what Rowley did. We have to create this fun, quirky, crazy tiki bar. And thank God they went with Braylon what he wanted. And so he talked about how they then spent the better part of the next year going to swap meets all over California to get the props to to make that thing look the way it did.
And I mean, it is really fantastic. And if you've not stayed at the Disneyland Hotel, we just stayed there in the fall last year. It's like right smack in the middle of all of the buildings. And I think
Yep.
that I read that there are like 1,600 different like nods to Disney. And I mean, it's not that big of a bar. But I
Oh
have a
no, no,
question
no.
for you. Is Trader Sam is from the Jungle Cruise. Do you just happen to know? I'm just wondering. Like, how did we get the Trader Sam tiki bar? Do you know?
Well, it was they were looking for a character, and again, the irony is that Trader Sam got his bar about the same time that Trader Sam was taken out of the attractions. Because again, this is Disney of 2024 or thereabouts. Suddenly, there are heightened sensitivities, about portraying other folks' culture, and it was felt that Trader Sam, the character as he was in the attraction, was a bit too much of a caricature. So they pulled him physically out. But now, obviously, when you were out in California last year, you rode the new version of the Jungle Cruise, where you have Trader Sam's the store, which
Yeah.
has been overrun by animatronic monkeys,
Monkeys,
but
yep.
you have a sign that Sam himself will be back later. How later? We don't know.
He's at the
But yeah,
tiki bar.
there we go. There we go. He's a busy guy. So
So speaking of the tiki bar, we were on a family vacation, so we didn't get to try some of those exotic drinks. But do you know, did they use tiki mugs at Trader Sam's?
oh God, do they? I mean, Trader Sam's is famous for serving its signature cocktails in themed tiki mugs, which of course adds to the immersive experience for guests. And again, what's nice about that is that acknowledges the tradition of serving drinks in tiki mugs that we can find for tiki bars as far back as Trader Vic's, back in the 1940s.
Okay, is there a story there?
I mean, if we go all the way back to Trader Vic's, I mean, people have been collecting mugs from these restaurants forever, and Disney has definitely leaned into that.
Of course. I mean, Disney loves their merch, Disney loves their mugs. And when I was looking around, I needed to see these cheeky mugs for myself. And they're really cool. They're not just selling, their own versions of tiki mugs, but a lot of them are like featuring beloved Disney characters as well. So I looked at ones like there were tiki mugs for like Jose the bird from the Enchanted Tiki Room. There was Monstro the whale. There was the Nautilus, and last year they even released a Hatbox Ghost tiki mug.
They did.
Like it's just crazy to think about how these mugs have gone from like a functional, drinking cup to such a sought after collector's item.
Well, now speaking of a sought after collector's item, it's worth noting that you can get tiki mugs other than places like Trader Sam's or the Grog Grotto. I mean, for example, if you go to Oga's Cantina at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and order yourself a Yub Nub, now, mind you, it's a $40 beverage, but what comes with that $40 beverage is your own tiki mug that recreates the Battle of Endor. And it's interesting to see the partially completed Death Star done in like a tiki graphic. But anyway, I digress.
I mean, like $40. I wonder if it's worth it. If you've tried it, let us know. Was it worth it? All right, Jim. So, What's up next in on our Tiki timeline?
Well, I mean, you got to start where it started. I mean, the Polynesian Resort, one of the original monorail hotels, opened with the resort in October of 71. And with the notion that it was supposed to transport folks to the South Seas. And what's kind of interesting is if you look at the very early concept art for the Walt Disney World Resort, it's not necessarily these low longhouses that we know today. It's actually kind of this sleek, modern, a skyscraper that sort of looks like something you'd find if you visited Honolulu in the 1960s, and which again gets kind of interesting because when I look at the building, the DVC that's coming going up right next door, it's like I'm definitely getting those vibes again.
Yeah, and I mean, but it is a far stretch from the longhouses that we all kind of know and love. So I wanted to ask you, I mean, what do you think Rolly would think about this?
Well, um, it's hard to say. Look, when it comes to Disney, it's all about balancing tradition, but also with innovation and progress, and that is a concept that Rowley well understood for all these years working in Imagineering, and and more to the point, that's what we were talking about at the top of the show with the Enchanted Tiki Room under new management. Though, kind of interesting bent on that story. That what happens if all these DVC people don't necessarily like the brand new building. Do they tear it down? Like they pulled the plug on under new management and build a whole bunch of new longhouses over there? I don't think so.
So, all right, Jem, I think it is about time that we close up shop for today. But let's end on a high note. Are you getting excited for all of these Moana movies coming up? We got Moana 2 coming in the fall. We just got the water feature in Epcot, and now we have the live action coming in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, I have to admit, what I'm intrigued about, especially with Moana 2, is that started out as a limited series for Disney Plus, and during the production process, the folks at the studio, reviewing, the footage as it came in, it's like this is too good. This needs to go out into theaters. So, I'm just intrigued to check this out because of that. And that said, though, you keep saying that the live action Moana is coming out in 2025. I'm a little concerned about that, given that, we are now just in the first part of April here, and we've heard nothing about that movie going in front of cameras. I don't know if they started shooting today, whether or not, they could get that thing turned around for the summer of 2025 or for that matter, holiday 2025. This is why friends I talk with at the studio are like, maybe 2026, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Fingers crossed though, because very much
Fingers crossed.
looking forward to that. And I'm hoping for some Lin Manuel Miranda action in
Yeah.
Moana 2 coming up. Have you heard any insider information on that?
That's what I keep asking about, and I get Magic Eight Ball says check back later. So there we go.
All right, fine. So it's all really exciting, though. I'm so glad they're leaning into Moana. And speaking about exciting news and things coming up, what's happening on the horizon over at the Jim Hill Media Network?
Well, that Mr. Testa and I, just got a new Disney dish in the can. Drew Taylor and I will be recording a brand new fine tuning some point this week. Your husband Eric and I are already talking about our next, epic Universal podcast, and Brian Gon and I are going to be leaning into looking at Lucasfilm. So lots of stuff coming. But what's really exciting for the month of April is we have our brand new Disney Unpacked video series, and this month we are looking into Buzz Lightyear and particularly the Space Ranger spin attraction, which at one point was in, all six of the castle parks around the globe. It's a fascinating story that Jim Schul, the Imagineer who's been lended my partner on this video project, just has shared some amazing insights, and again, very much worth checking out. But again, that's over on Patreon, and we invite folks to come on over and check it out. And then of course there is the show you and I are doing today. I want that too, which again, kind of a hybrid because it exists both as a podcast as well as a video series.
Yes, and we are leaning into more video content. We're trying to give our listeners and viewers what they're asking for. So if you have not done it already, please head over to YouTube and, give our videos a like. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel. We are all about goals and milestones, and we are looking to get to that 1,000 subscriber benchmark since we're new to the video game. So if you could help us out and, subscribe so you get those notifications, turn on that notification bell, that would be wonderful. And coming up in our next episode of I Want That Too, it's timed perfectly for Earth Day. Boy, we are just like lining them up here. So we're going to be talking about, things like Earth Month at Animal Kingdom, how they're celebrating that all month long, and talking about Wally, and hopefully we can talk a little bit about Smokey the Bear, because we were just staying at Fort Wilderness and there was a ton of Smokey the Bear merch. So we are really excited for that, and we hope you'll join us there.
Cool. Well, that to me sounds like a show I definitely don't want to miss, and I can't miss it because I'm a co-host. But don't forget, we want to hear from you as well, folks. So if you have any interesting Disney collectibles, or you want to tell us about your collection. In fact, we're still waiting to hear from you folks in regard to the popcorn buckets, about how you display those at your house, and especially what with that Jabba the Hutt popcorn bucket that's about to debut. That thing's huge. I want to know where are you putting that in the house? So
Oh, I can't wait to see that one. But you can find me at Lauren@laurenhersey.com or Jim@jimhillmedia.com, and we do want to hear from you.
that's going to do it for today, folks. For Lauren Hersey, this is Jim Hill. Thank you for listening to I Want That Too, and we will see you next time.
Hi there. If you want to hear the rest of today's episode, you can head over to iTunes and listen to the full audio experience there. You can also head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/JimHillMedia, for the full video episode. Or if none of those options works for you, then we will see you back here next week. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button, turn your notifications on, and comment below and let us know what you want to see in future episodes.